There are worse ways to traverse the low country of South Carolina on the last Friday in May than in the back seat of a black '73 Impala. The big Chevy was still fairly new, just 4 years old, and the air conditioning was chugging valiantly against the gathering heat. 13-year-old Gabe Patton stared out the window at the continuous stretch of highway, mesmerized by the whirring power lines and the occasional hawk swooping low over the marshland. 9 hours and 395 miles lay between their home in Gate City, Virginia, and their destination of Myrtle Beach. 9 hours of his dad grunting along to Waylon Jennings' 8 tracks, while the Impala guzzled a gallon of gas every 13 miles like clockwork. "Time to fill her up and grab a bite," Gabe's dad announced as he turned off the highway into the gravel lot of a little roadside grill. The giant steel sign over the building had known better days. It was supposed to rotate, but the oxidized mechanism had long since seized up. Only the star at the top still shone, a valiant beacon promising eat. Gabe tumbled out of the back seat, legs thrumming with bottled-up energy. He stretched luxuriously, breathing in the piney South Carolina air, so different from the coal dust and limestone of home. As he turned slowly, taking in his surroundings, a happy coincidence made him grin. There, on the eastern side of the road, rose a giant orange globe emblazoned with the Union 76 logo in bold blue and white, and right beside it, a highway sign for US 76. 2 76s, side by side, like some secret wink from the universe. Gabe loved things like that, numbers, colors, hidden patterns, the way that patterns danced and aligned in the world around him. Certain folks reckoned it was odd, the way he'd get all lit up over a number or the angle of a shadow. But to Gabe it was like glimpsing the secret language of creation. He reached for the Kodak X15 slung around his neck and snapped a picture, carefully composing the frame to capture both signs. A perfect addition to his trip diary. His grin grew as he noticed the rectangular sign below, proclaiming Myrtle Beach 44. Almost there. "Gabriel," his dad's voice broke into his reverie. "Quit lollygagging and get in here, for I eat your share." Gabe hurried into the grill, the promise of food overriding his momentary annoyance at Gabriel. He slid up to the vinyl booth facing his dad, who was already thumbing through the plastic-sleeved menu. Their waitress, a kindly older woman with a Mabel name tag, appeared with 2 sweating glasses of sweet tea. "What'll it be, fellas?" Gabe's dad rattled off his order without looking up. "Barbecue plate, extra slaw, hold the roll." Mabel turned to Gabe with a wink. "And for you, sugar?" Gabe flashed his most winning smile. "Cheeseburger and fries, please. Oh, and a cheer wine to go if you have it." As Mabel bustled off to put in their order, Gabe pulled out his battered road map, tracing their route with a reverent finger. His dad leaned over and tapped a grease pencil X on their location. "Corner of Main and Liberty in Marion," he supplied, named for Francis Marion himself. Revolutionary War hero. Gabe's eyes sparkled with interest. "The Swamp Fox! He helped us get Liberty back in '76, and here we are at Main and Liberty in the town named after him." He shook his head at the beautiful symmetry of it all. His dad snorted. "Yeah, well, reckon Marion sounds better for a town name than Swamp Fox anyhow. More dignified anyways." Gabe opened his mouth to argue the poetic merits of Swamp Fox, but thought better of it. No use getting his dad riled up, not when Myrtle Beach waited seductively near on the horizon. Instead, he pulled out his trip diary and carefully noted down the intersection, the date, and the auspicious double 76. He'd almost filled this notebook already, and they were still a ways from the coast. The food arrived, and they dug in with gusto. Gabe picked at a fry, considering how to broach the subject most on his mind. He swallowed, took a fortifying swig of cheerwine, and cleared his throat. "So, Dad, when we get to Myrtle Beach, you reckon we could go to the pavilion, ride the roller coaster, play some skee-ball at the arcade?" He held his breath, hoping against hope. His dad fixed him with a level stare. "Look, son, I'm here to work. You know that. Fella's not paying me to go gallivanting around riding carnival rides." He softened a bit at Gabe's crestfallen expression. "Tell you what, you can hang around the arcade some, keep yourself occupied while I'm on the job, but you stay out of trouble here. I'll give you a little pocket money, but don't go wasting it on junk." Gabe nodded excitedly, barely containing his fervor. The arcade. His mind teemed with visions of flashing lights and ringing bells, the rattle of pinballs and the electronic beeps and boops of Pong. He'd heard the Electric Circus arcade had the biggest pinball selection in Myrtle Beach, and Gabe intended to play them all. "Yes, sir," he managed. "I promise I'll be careful and not pester you none." His dad grunted. "See that you don't. And mind your manners with folks even if they're different than what you're used to." Gabe knew what his dad was alluding to. There'd be all kinds of people in a tourist town like Myrtle Beach, all kinds of colors and ways of talking. But that didn't bother Gabe at all. If anything, it aroused his curiosity and made him want to know more about the vast realm beyond his little corner of Appalachia. Mabel came by with the check, and Gabe's dad counted out the bills. "Best hit the head before we get back on the road," he advised. "Still a ways to the beach." Gabe obediently visited the restroom, taking the opportunity to wash the road grime from his face and hands. His reflection in the spotted mirror grinned back at him, with eager hazel eyes and unruly dark hair. Mama was always fussing at him to get it cut, but he liked it a little longer. Let him hide behind it when he wanted. Thoughts of his mama brought a flash of sadness. She'd stayed home this trip, saying she was needed at the shirt factory. Gabe knew money was tighter than ever since the mine laid off his dad. That's why they were chasing construction work all the way to the coast. Tourist season was ramping up, and they needed all the hands they could get. He shook off the melancholy thoughts and hurried to the car. The day was too ripe with opportunity to dwell on what he couldn't change. The road and the electric circus waited, shimmering on the edges of his imagination as if a mirage. The highway unreeled before them, a paved ribbon through the swampy expanse. Spanish moss dripped off sprawling live oaks, and mile after mile of marsh grass undulated in the breeze. Gabe found himself mesmerized by the signs dotting the roadside, garish billboards beckoning travelers with promises of mystery and wonder. One in particular caught his eye, an advertisement for the brand-new Castle Dracula dark ride. The sign was a spooky marvel with vertical slats that rotated to animate Dracula's ghoulish face. As they whizzed by, the Count's eyes seemed to follow Gabe, his mouth opening in a bloodthirsty grin to reveal gleaming fangs. Gabe shivered in delight. Maybe, if he was lucky, he could convince his dad to spare the $3 admission to see the horrors that crept within Castle Dracula's walls. At last, the soaring skyline of Myrtle Beach came into view. The strip rose like a neon mirage from the sandy expanse, a glittering patchwork of sun-faded motels, sprawling mini-golf courses, and towering seaside rides. Gabe pressed his nose to the window, drinking it all in, his blood quickening with every new wonder. But it was the sign for the Electric Circus arcade and lounge that really set Gabe's heart sprinting. He'd seen pictures in magazines, but nothing compared to the real thing. The sign was a blaze of color, with the name spelled out in pulsing rainbow bulbs and an elaborate mural extending across the facade. At the center of the painting, a snarling tiger leapt from the gilded bars of an ornate circus wagon, its stripes aflame with orange neon. The carriage was trimmed with scrolling gold and studded with electric blue gems that winked in the sun. It was the gaudiest, most mesmerizing thing Gabe had ever laid eyes on, and he could hardly wait to step inside and see what other marvels awaited. As his dad parked the Impala in the crush of sand that passed for the Motor Lodge lot, Gabe was already halfway out the door, his pockets laden with the weight of a summer's worth of promise. The electric circus called to him, a shining beacon heralding wonder in this odd new land of sea and salt and endless possibility. With a whoop of unbounded joy, Gabe hit the pavement at a run, ready to lose himself in a world of light and melody, an exciting realm where a scruffy boy from the hills of Appalachia could be anyone, anything. A space where magic coiled beneath electronic beeps and spinning silver balls, where the flip of a wrist could turn fate on a dime. Gabe paused before the entrance, heart in his throat, the din of the arcade already pulling him in like a siren's song. He could feel the whole shimmering summer waiting on the far side of those doors, every machine, every silver ball, every long bright day stretching out ahead of him. There would be time for all of it. The electric circus would keep. He drew one deep breath of cotton candy and sea salt, fixed the painted tiger in his memory like a photograph, and turned back toward the lot, where his dad was already wresting their bags from the trunk. Whatever waited inside, it wasn't going anywhere. And for the first time in a long while, neither was he.